Okay.
Welcome back to Creative Thinkers. My name is Miguel Valenzuela, and we have a very awesome guest today. He does a lot of very creative things with light. So today we have Edgar Olivas from i.a.m.beam. Edgar, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. A lot of interesting things, and obviously we always start by learning a little bit about who you are as an individual, where you started from, where you came from. Were you born here in El Paso? Are you a native El Pasoan?
Yeah, I'm 31 years old. I was born here in El Paso. I lived in Dallas for a couple of years. And then I came back and I've been here ever since.
What area of town are you from? East, west?
I live in Central. I live in Central side. Honestly, I think it's the best part of town because we have the mountains right next to us.
Yeah, we do actually. I also live in Central, and I agree with your statement that it is a very cool place to live. I think that it's awesome because we get to kind of go anywhere, east, west, very quickly. The people from the east side take a long time to go to the west, so on and so forth. But first and foremost, there's a lot of things that are very centrally located. So you grew up in the area?
Yes, sir. I went to Austin High School. Um, yeah, I've been in Central my whole life, honestly.
Very, very cool. So at any point, did you end up going to college to study anything in particular, or did you kind of just fall into this whole beam thing?
You know what? It's pretty funny that you asked me that because whenever somebody asks me, like where I went to school or how I learned to do what I do, and I tell
Right.
them I learned it that I went to YouTube University.
That's one of the best places to study now, right? Aside
Yeah.
from the colleges and the universities, of course. But very good. So how did you learn this? How did you kind of stumble upon this? We were talking a little bit earlier, and you told me a little bit about the history of it. So enlighten the viewers, please.
Uh, it was kind of a couple that came together. I started selling projectors when I was about 20 years old. I used to sell them on the streets in a white van, driving around in a white van.
Those
Uh,
typical guys that you see at the parking lots.
yeah, exactly. If you Google it, it actually comes out as a white man scam. It's
I love that. So right away, that tells me that you're a creative individual, because how in the world do you sell speakers out of a van? But how did that turn into this whole kind of video projection thing? Because that's one of the most interesting things that I have seen. Before you tell us, I want to talk a little bit about how we met. I'm driving down the freeway one day, and here is this wonderful projection that I see up on this dome downtown El Paso, or close to downtown El Paso. And I begin to ask myself all these questions. So I make a turn and I drive over towards where Edgar is, and I start asking him all these questions. So what was it, and how in the world did you go from speakers all the way over into projection?
well, when we had that equipment, I started messing around with the projectors to test them, see if they work. And then one of my DJ friends, he showed me the software that lets you manipulate the light to at different angles. Basically, what lets you do is use a projector on a 3D surface, so it doesn't have to be a flat wall. And after I saw that software, I really liked it. I already had a projector that I would use. So I got the software and I started playing with it. I started learning how to use the software, and then gradually I just started getting better and brighter projectors.
That's super cool. And obviously, we're going to see a few of these things that you do. But going back a little bit and talking about creatively speaking, when you were growing up, did you have any specific influences that helped you kind of, or guided you towards who you are today, thinking so out of the box?
You know what? I've always liked art, but I didn't know how to draw. Like I can't draw at all. Um, so once I saw this, and it was like type of my form of art. Um,
Right.
the using light. But as far as influences and things like that, I mean, I would just I got influenced by the videos that I would see of guys lighting up huge buildings and I got really interested in how that worked. So I started doing a little bit of research, and that's how I came to do it.
At the YouTube University?
At the, excuse me?
At the YouTube University?
At the YouTube University.
Very, very cool. So this whole show is about thinking creatively and thinking outside the box. How do you think that what you do influences the community in a positive way? Give us some examples.
Well, we did a projection for LWCF. It's a Land and Water Conservation Fund.
Right.
And they were losing funding, and they wanted to make a statement that they wanted to, they needed that funding to protect the wildlife. So one of the things we did is we did projections on government buildings to send out a message that they needed to do something about it and continue to add that funding. We were out there for a week. We actually got kicked out of one location. It was 8 all over America. It was Alaska, Wisconsin, Montana, California, and Denver.
Right.
So we send a pretty good positive message around the United States.
And when you're creating these images up on buildings, how exactly do you go about doing that? Give us a run through of what you start off with, how you come up with the ideas, so on and so forth.
Well, for that project that I was telling you about, they sent us a content that they wanted. It was super simple, just a white light with the message. But there's other customers that let's say, for example, a Halloween party. We did a drive-through Halloween party because that's the thing now. Everybody's doing the drive-through ones. And we lit up the whole house with ghosts and spiders and different types of things. All the people really enjoyed it. It's not that hard to set up. But you just need the good equipment to do it.
And talking about equipment, so you first started selling speakers, and then you transitioned into working with projectors because you started, I guess, receiving these projectors and selling them. How did you learn the actual projection? So you did a little bit of research, or maybe a lot of research on YouTube to learn how to work the actual programs. But what does one of these projectors do? How big a scale can you go?
Well, that's really the hard part, getting the equipment. I started with the 3500 lumen projector, which is pretty standard. It's what you use in a home, like for a home projector situation. And then the next one that I got was 5000 lumens. So that one you can project about a good 20-30 feet and still be pretty bright. From the 10,000 lumen, I went to 11,000, and then right now I have a 15,000 lumen. So
the difference between the smaller lumens and the larger lumens is distance or size or brightness?
Okay, so the lumens is a brightness. 5,000 lumens is the brightness of the lamp. The projectors, the big 15,000 lumen one, it has interchangeable lenses. So just depending on the venue that you actually need to use a projector on, if you have to be really far, you could switch out for the appropriate lens that it would take. Or if you need to be really close, you would use a short throw lens. It's what they call them.
So it's the same brightness, but the distance changes based on the lens that you put on the actual projector.
Yes, exactly. But if you do use a short throw projectors, since you don't have to be throwing the light that far at a distance of 50-60 feet, since you're really close to the wall, short throw projectors tend to work a lot better.
So the quality of the image, will it be the same regardless of whether we're close or far? And that has to do with the adjustment of the lens itself?
Well, when you're shooting onto really big buildings, the resolution doesn't have to be too high, because you can't see the pixels. But if you are gonna do something huge and you're gonna be up close to it, it's good to use a high pixel projector. The one that I use is 4,000 lumens, so it looks good either if you're or if you're 10 feet away from it. It'll look super sharp. On the other
And
ones, the pixels will look a little bit bigger.
oh, okay. So if I'm up close to the building, but you're far away, I can actually see the pixels?
Yeah, you'll be able to see pixels. Little squares that form the image together.
That's pretty interesting. So your company is called Beam, obviously, because you're beaming information up towards the buildings or whatever you're projecting on. Tell us a little bit about how you started your company.
Well, I was selling projectors on the street for about 3 years. But it got tiring and it got a little bit harder to do after a while. So we would do a lot of entertainment. But we've kind of figured that there's more money in marketing. There's more
Right.
business in marketing. So we still do some entertainment. We do some like Neon Desert and Sun City, the Street Fest, the Winter Fest. But our main focus is sending out messages. The way to advertise or send whatever type of message you may want to send.
And those messages that you send, you also incorporate other elements. For example, when we met, one of the things that you did for me as a favor was you projected some of my artwork up onto the actual dome, which I was pretty excited about. It's really cool to see your own work projected at such a large scale. Give us an example of how you incorporate local artists into what you're actually doing.
Uh, well, for artists, they can do live art, actual it'll look like they're tagging on the building, but they're just using light. And then let's say they did this super awesome painting, then we could shoot it huge on a wall, so a lot of people can enjoy it. You know what I mean? We can upscale the painting by hundreds of feet. Um, and then for example, if you want to do a huge mural, like a huge mural on the side of a building, what we could do for artists is we project the image so they could see what the mural is, what it's going to look like exactly. And they can even trace the difficult parts, so their work is a lot easier.
Oh, wow. So you provide that kind of option for artists as well to help them with their creative process.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you work with the artists themselves, when you're working with the artists themselves, how do they feel about this kind of connection and the way that you're bringing their artwork to different people? What is their kind of way that they feel, the look that they get?
You know what, for artists, I think what they like the most, what I found that I get the best reaction out of, is when they do a mural somewhere, and then I see the mural and I admire it. So I want to see what it would look like if it actually moved and gave it more life than I already had. So I'll find who the artist is, because I usually put who they are on their work. So I'll light it up, I'll make it move and bring it to life, and then I'll send them an image of it, and they're like, wow. They never thought they would see their artwork actually move.
That's pretty cool. So you have the ability then to morph artwork?
Yeah. Recently, at this restaurant bar, they did a mural in the background of the backdrop of El Paso, like the mountains and the star. And so what I did, I made it look like the sun was going up, like a sunrise, and we put a thunderstorm, and yeah, we made a move. Or let's say you have a face, you could make the face blink or talk or say something.
And are all these different types of programs that you use, or is it all one program?
There's two that I use. One of them is Mad Mapper. That one's the one that lets you manipulate the light and the angles and shape different 3D objects. And then there's another one that's called Module 8. And that one's more for when you're doing a live concert and you want the visuals that you're projecting to move with the audio. So it's two different programs that you can use together.
So when you're creating these things, do you feel like you're an artist?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Talk to us about that, because I know the feeling. I think it's fantastic for one to be a creator of things. How do you feel when you are creating things?
And you know what? Honestly, I just kind of saw it like I was having fun, and I enjoyed what I was doing. I never really thought of myself as an artist. But a couple years ago, I started hanging out with a really, really talented group of artists here in El Paso. They're called the Visionaries.
Right.
And I started showing them what I could do, and well, I mean, we started working together a lot on a lot of projects. And one time, one of the guys was introducing me, and he said, "Look, this guy's a really good artist." And I'm like, "Oh wow, I guess I am an artist." And they included me into their little group. So that's kind
So,
of how I realized that I was actually doing art. But for about half the time that I've been doing this, that I didn't even think I was doing art.
no, so expand on that, because I think it's interesting. One of the reasons why I created this show, and I've mentioned this several times in other shows, is because I feel that people just don't think that creativity is important enough, or maybe they do, but they are not given an option to be creative. So how do you feel about being creative?
Well, I mean, there's so many different things you could do to be creative. And you like I would have never known that I could be an artist or be creative if I didn't like trying different things. So if you really like something, you can definitely learn how to do it and express your creativity like that.
Yeah, which I think is awesome that you're doing this whole thing with through Beam, anyways, by creating these images on a projector, which is something that a lot of people don't know that they can do. Not just everybody has a projector, obviously, but the fact that you have one helps people understand art a little bit better. Like when I was driving down the freeway and I saw you projecting the image, I was, taken aback because it was something new for me. I've seen projections on walls of buildings before, but having artwork actually dance around, because I think if I remember correctly, you had a bird or something flying around, and then in between the bird that was flying, or butterflies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And in between those, you had artwork, which I think is really cool to incorporate these two different elements, incorporating things like nature, which is beautiful, and then artwork, which is beautiful, and especially with the people that are here local. So what are some of the things that you are now currently doing? What's the last project you worked on?
You know what? I got a really exciting call today. I might be
Today?
doing
Nice.
a call a job in Montana for the same company that I was telling you for the LWCF, the Land
Mhm.
and Water Conservation. The senator of New Mexico, Jeff Steinborn.
Right.
He's seen my work, and I got a call from him today. So hopefully that'll be our next project.
And what does that entail exactly? Do you know any specifics? Is it going to be in New Mexico?
No, it's gonna be in Montana.
Oh,
It's gonna
okay, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be all the way in Montana. And they're just kind of doing some conservation of something. I haven't gotten all the details yet. But that's gonna be our big project, our next big project. Another thing that I really wanted to do. My son, I have a 12-year-old kid. I have full custody, single dad. I'm very proud of that. Uh,
Congratulations.
Thank you. But he watches a lot of YouTube videos, and some of the things that I've seen him watch are I get upset because I feel like they're just poisoning his mind. It's nothing but
Yeah.
garbage, honestly. Um,
Sometimes.
so what I wanted to do, and right now you were saying that not everybody has projectors, but right now they're a lot more affordable than when they came out. You could get some really good deals. So what I wanted to do is have a channel that my kid can show other kids how to do projection mapping and create art in their houses. So if their parents have a projector, they can use that projector. There's free software available online that you can use and play with, and I think it would be a really fun and educational show for kids that he can do.
I absolutely agree with that. I am also a single dad, and I know how important it is to engage the people, the children, and the younger crowd. So I think it's very important. So what I'm hearing now is that you're almost like a humanitarian. You're starting to kind of get more connected with the youth and want to do things like that. If you were able to do that, what do you think they would gain from that?
Well, I mean, I get a really, really good feeling when I see bring something to life. It's it's something that I enjoy a lot doing. And it brings joy to a lot of different people too. So I mean, and not just that, but let's say you're celebrating somebody's birthday, and you
Right.
need to print out a sign or do something like that. With this, you're just using light, so you don't have to use vinyl. You don't have to use anything. You're just using light, which is environmentally friendly, and you get a way better result than putting a sticker, printing out a banner or something.
So I see that that's maybe why you got into the more kind of advertising aspect. How do
Yeah.
you think that bringing the advertisers together with the artists is going to help our community?
Uh,
For example, the people that have these projects that they create advertising and big giant murals on the sides of buildings, and then you incorporate the actual artists into. How do
oh,
you think
okay.
that that's going to help the community?
Well, that's how we kind of we just did that for the Children's Center of El Paso. There
Right,
was a group of artists that they were trying to bring awareness to homelessness and child abuse and different things like that. So they used art to kind of like catch your eye and bring attention to it, and then they would send out that message as well. They would get you, they would kind of like bring you in so you could see what's going on with through the art,
right.
and then they would send out their message, which was for Center for Children.
And the Center for Children, for example, I think is a very interesting thing for you to connect with. What other projects have you connected with that are more kind of for the community?
uh you know what, we did believe it or not, we did some projections on the border wall, on the new border wall. The it's I've done that. I do. Okay, this is a good one. Whenever we're doing projections, because we do work at bars and different shows where people are going to be drinking.
Right.
So what we do is we send out a message at the end of the night to don't drink and drive. We put the Mothers Against Drunk Driving logo up huge so you could see it, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
kind of a reminder, and don't drive.
Yeah, I think it's very important that you're doing things like this because you may even save somebody's life, which I think is an amazing thing. One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about is you want to kind of get your business to do other things. What do you see in the future, not as a project that you're working with, maybe with the senator, but something else? Where do you want your company to go?
I want to do continue with the advertising, obviously, but I want to do billboards, to you're just using light again to conserve the print of vinyl. Right now the dome that where I met you, it's
Right.
gonna be a permanent installation. I don't have to be out there with the equipment and on the street, and it's just gonna be a permanent installation. And there's a couple of other walls that we wanted to do permanently as well. We're starting, I guess, what you could call a digital magazine, on the glass.
Right.
So any piece of window, you could turn it into a digital display. So you don't need to
Wow.
print any. and stick it onto your glass. You could do it all digital and change the image every day. So right now, that's our main focus, getting as many windows as we can out there, so people can know that they can actually do this, and then just start doing the big buildings with signs and advertising.
That's going to be really cool. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
I have all my videos on Instagram. It's I.a.m.beam. It's i.a.m.beam. The I stands for image, and then A, advertising, and then the M, marketing. So it's image, advertise, marketing, and then beam with light. So that I just call it I.a.m.beam. That or you can shoot us a text at 915-630-6281. But all the videos are on Instagram. And the videos that they describe so much more than you can actually describe by using words.
So last question, because we've already spoken for about 25 minutes, if you can believe that. My last question is going to be, how many of these projections do you think that you've done in all of this business that you've created?
Well, we've done Neon Desert for the past 5 years. No, sorry, for the past 7 years.
Wow.
I mean, I've done my Dead Mouse for. I mean, I've done projections for some pretty big artists.
Cool.
But no, it's been hundreds. It's been hundreds.
Well, I wanted to thank you for being our guest, because I always try to bring people that are very diverse, people that are artists, creators, business owners, things like that. So I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I wanted to thank our audience for tuning in once again, and I wanted to thank Edgar Olivas for coming in and showing us what projectors can do, and thank you to his company, I.a.m.beam. So thank you very much, Edgar.
Thank you. Appreciate it.